Hello traders and welcome to a new video on high block capital. So I want to show you guys a different kind of indicator than what we've looked at before. So in the past I've talked about long percent sentiment of global accounts. For those that don't know, all that this shows us is on Binance futures, there are accounts that are either long or short on any asset, right? That's how it works. This shows us what percent of all Binance futures accounts that are trading that asset are percent long. But that's not really what I want to look at because I've talked about this probably 25 million times. What I'm interested in is relativity. Relativity, such a hard word to say. Relativity, however you say it. So what this is basically showing me now is these values that I'm about to show you in this kind of analysis, these are not actual sentiment values. This is actually just an index from 0 to 100. If this is on the very low end, that means that relative to the past sentiment, relative to the past long percent values on this token, a 2.8%, as you can see right there, would mean that the market is very, very bearish, meaning that the vast majority of traders are short on this asset relative to its past sentiment values. So typically when this number is very, very low, I would expect, price to rise because most retail traders are short. When this number is very positive, I would expect price to fall because that means that there's a lot of longs on the asset. So the first example I want to show of this is REN, REN. Now remember, 100 means that it's at its absolute highest positive long percent value. So that means that almost everyone would be long on the token or asset. And if this is very, very low, that means that almost everyone relative to its past is short. Okay, so if we look at REN USDT, I want to show you guys a little helpful trade or little trade that I did. So if we go to REN USDT right here, you can see that the value started the index was saying 33%, 32, but then you can see that it got more and more extreme to the point where do you see just how extremely bearish and short people are on REN? So this change began to happen at about 13 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and I actually have that pulled up right here. So basically what happened is right when price did this, when price was here at 12 o'clock, people became very, very bearish on REN, and a lot of people started taking shorts. And if you know me and my trading system, I like to trade against people. So when I saw that a lot of people were, like super bearish on this, I think we all knew what was going to happen, that price was going to surge. And I actually was able to find this out by just looking on this heat map and then looking at this index. And this showing me that people are very, very bearish relative to long percent, the long percent past values gave me a big indication. To make this a little bit easier for you guys too, I'm actually going to pull up the ticker on the graph just to show you. Oh, here it is. Perfect. So just to show you guys what we're looking at here, in yellow we have price, and in blue we have the long percent value. Now you'll see that these long percent values are actually deviating from what these values are. Because remember, these are the actual long percent values, but the values here are actually an index of those values, if that makes sense, from 0 to 100. This being it, almost everyone was short, as you can see here. So as you can kind of see here, when price began to like flatline and then move up a little bit, what you'll notice is that traders are very, very short on REN. And you can see that by just looking at this is the long percent and how many people are short. At about February 2nd, right around here, almost everyone was short, and that was a very good sign that price was gonna rise. So yeah, that's just one thing, one easy trade that I was able to take. Now let's go look at the more extreme side. Let's go look for a token that looks very, very tan or orange, because that's going to indicate something that has a cryptocurrency that has a bunch of bullish traders on it, basically. And typically with those kinds of assets, I would expect price to fall. So one that kind of meets the eye is LDO USDT on Binance. You can see here, it was at 96 percentile. That's very, very, there's a lot of traders that were bullish on this. And you can kind of see it's kind of choppy right now. It's not really looking too good for anyone who is crazy bullish on this. Not amazing, but not that bad. When people were most bullish was around what, like 13 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And that was around, what was that? Around here to here-ish. So yeah, it seems like really not much has happened. If anything, price has gone up a little bit. But with it being this extreme, I feel like if any more longs come into LDO, then probably there might be a move back down, a long squeeze. Looking at this over here, it was at January 30th, it was at 98%. That's very, 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 very extreme. January, yeah. You can see January 30th, unfortunately for a lot of retail traders, right around here, retail was very, very bullish in LDO, and then it just tanked. You can see it right here. January 30th, and the time zones are matched up too. January 30th at about 17 o'clock, 18 o'clock. That was, where was that? Around here. Yeah, and then price continued to fall. And then right when traders became a little bit less bullish and this index began to fall down a little bit, you can see that price began to go up. So this is just a really good heat map that you can use to basically find extremes in sentiment values using relative to itself. One really good way you could pair this with is probably to look for, this, of course. And if you see this number be very, very low, typically that would mean I would want to be bullish, because that would mean that there are a lot of people who are short on the token. And you can also use funding rate in conjunction, and that would show you, the another sentiment indicator, the funding rate, which could also help you a lot too. So I'm looking for another one that's popping out to me as quite extreme. Ren USDT, we already talked about that one. This one was just Zen USDT has been very, very, very. You can see this right here. Zen USDT was very, very bullish. It's at like 96 percentile, and then it just kind of fell a lot. The sentiment did, at least. So what was happening is, if you look right here, Zen USDT up until the point of about 11 a.m. So at about 11 a.m., I would probably want to buy. The reason that I am saying that is you can see that this went from a period of a lot of longs are on it. It's at a very high percentile. And then it drops, the long percent just drops dramatically. The long percentile drops dramatically at about 11 o'clock. And that actually happened right before the up move. So that's just another good way to, I think, use this kind of indicator, which is to use it relative to itself. Now, I think, was going to say, open interest delta, you can also do that if you want to find, a token where a lot of people are exiting. You could also do that to see, oh my lord, this is like a Picasso. I'll go to funding rate. This one will be pretty clean. Yeah. So this is showing extremes in funding rate. So green would mean that it's very, very negative, and orange would mean very, very positive, of course. You can see ZRX has a very, very negative funding rate, so that's making me a little bit more bullish. And you'd want to pair this with, long percent sentiment. But if we look at ZRX, this is looking like it could be quite bullish, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, but I just wanted to show you guys this quick little thing that I've been doing to basically improve sentiment, because instead of just looking at the standard long percent global accounts, I really think it's a lot better to look at long percent accounts relative to itself, because I think that's going to give you much better values. I was looking at on the 1 hour, but you can also scalp with this information, such as having it on the 5 minute, because then maybe you could really pick out topside easier. Like Zen at about 1805, changed over to be more bullish, I guess. 18 o'clock, yeah. Well, I mean, nothing's really happening here, but yeah. So I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. The coin screener from HighBlock is something that I've been using to just put all of these indicators into perspective by using relative to itself. And if you guys want to use this exact indicator, I'm going to have a link in the description below to help you guys out. With that, happy trading, and I'll see you in the next one.